I put the nickname for you. You are the king kill feeling.
Okay.
It's a new day, and the king of kill feelings wants to try and patch things up with Violet. But the only problem is, that's gonna be easier said than done.
She still can't have a decent conversation with me? Why are you bringing up the past? Mother, because we need to work it out.
Mother, maybe she doesn't want to work it out. Now, before we get to Riley's unique attempts at working it out, let's rewind back to the start of this episode. So, the last we saw of these two, Riley had just realised that he owes Violet an apology after sharing a drink with a tour guide. It was this wise tour guide that taught Riley he was culturally in the wrong for allowing his friend to interrogate Violet at their dinner. So, we join Riley as he attempts to apologise.
I was waiting for my friend. 2 days ago, Violet and I got into a big fight over a phone call with my friend Tiffany, who was asking her some really personal questions.
You can tell Riley's actually really sorry today because this is the first time he's bothered to show up first. Usually it's Violet waiting for him. This is actually something she's expressed to him in the past, only up until now, he's ignored it.
You know, in Vietnam, we have traditional men always waste women.
Oh.
Yes.
All right, so next time I wait for you.
So this time, eager to try and show that he's a changed man and that he listens to her, Riley has arrived first, and he comes with gifts, a bouquet of flowers. That again is significant. It's him trying to show that he listens, because as you may recall, Violet had previously told him off for not buying flowers for her mum.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Look at Riley making the decision to hide the flowers from Violet. Presumably, he wants Violet to think he hasn't got her anything, only to then, pow, surprise her. But now's not the time to be playing these games, Riley. For as much as these two love to play games, they love to hurt each other and then claim it's flirting. The truth is, this time has to be different. I mean, their relationship is hanging on by a thread. So when Riley finally gives her his peace offering, she takes it with a grain of salt. She wants to make sure that he really understands why she was so angry.
I just don't know how she talk with me like interrogating. I am not real criminal. She is not a cop.
Violet's upset with the accusatory tone that Tiffany took with her. She's angry that Riley didn't stand up for her. But Violet can't seem to understand that for Riley, that was his last resort to try and get the answers he wants. Every time he tried to ask her himself, she's just evaded him or point blank refused to give him an answer.
You push me and you ask me, answer her, answer her. How can you do that? How can you trample me with another people?
Riley's literally having to bite his tongue. Just look at his face. He's repeatedly clenching and unclenching his jaw. So is that because he wants to jump in and defend himself? Or is he trying to control his temper? Whatever the truth, he does apologise.
I should have protected you, and I didn't. I apologize.
Riley's words often speak louder than his actions. He's happy to admit he's in the wrong, and he's the first to apologise to Violet over and over again. But every time he does, he expects something in return. It's always a tit-for-tat, transactional expectation. Whether that expectation is an apology back, a smile, or, in this case, the hope that things will magically return back to normal, whatever normal was. So when Violet doesn't just take his apology and smile back at him like a good little girl, his temper begins to bubble over.
I just received your apology, but your
thank you.
sensitivity not enough.
Everything was my fault. Everything? I'm just
Yes.
asking.
But Riley's actually right. She's given no thought to how she could have approached things differently herself. I mean, she can clearly see that the whole dating app profile is a big issue for Riley. It's clearly playing on his mind. Yet she conveniently glosses over this. She offers no explanation, no apology. She just expects him to drop the issue. But that's not fair, is it?
When I ask you questions and you don't answer them, I feel hurt. I feel like you're deceitful. I feel like you're hiding something. Not saying that's what you're doing.
Riley's a suspicious guy. That's just his nature. It's been heightened by his time in the military and his experience with cheating ex-girlfriends. It's clearly left him with some trauma. But instead of trying to help him work through that by building a trusting relationship, Violet expects him to trust her fully, no questions asked. And when he inevitably can't do that, she blames him for being disrespectful and they're back to square one. It's a repeating cycle that they need to break. And this time, Violet's hoping she's got the perfect solution.
If you want answer, you can write for me and translate for me.
So Violet explains that she can't always answer his questions because English isn't her first language. Now, if that really is the cause of her secrecy, that's an easy enough issue to fix. All they'd need to do is use the Google Translate app. And knowing this, Riley suddenly seems really happy. He seems relieved that Violet's provided him with a tool to be able to get the answers he wants.
So that's what I'll do. From now on, if I feel it's a complicated question, I will write it to translate it and then give it to you.
Yes.
That's absolutely, that's great.
So with this new plan of action settled, with both of them agreeing to a new strategy for how they can hopefully communicate better, their thoughts now turn to where they go from here. Can they somehow still salvage a relationship despite all that's happened?
I'm here for another 4 days, and I just would like to try to move past this and work on it, and I'll earn your respect back.
But we know that Riley has no intention of going home without finding out the truth about what Violet's done in the past. So this issue isn't going to be entirely put to bed. It's being shelved for now, until Riley figures out how to use a translation app.
I don't know if I believe Violet when she says she can't answer my questions because of the language barrier. It sounds like an excuse to me.
So the pair make up for now. And when we join them the next day, Violet is taking Riley to the Buddhist temple. This is his opportunity to wear the traditional Vietnamese clothing that he and Violet went to have made. And again, arriving there first, you can see that Riley's really trying. And his efforts aren't going unnoticed. In fact, I think this is the most complimentary that Violet has ever been about him.
Hello, you look right.
You like it?
Oh, you're so right.
Thank you. I wore the right pants and shoes.
Let me see.
Oh, you want me to turn around like a...
This is the great reset for these two. Riley is physically showing how he's willing to integrate into Violet's culture. That's incredibly important for her. And in return, Violet's giving Riley the praise and the appreciation that he's desperately wanted to hear.
Ngày hôm nay tôi dẫn Riley đi chùa bởi vì tôi muốn làm chúng tôi bình yên. Trong lòng nó thanh thản nhẹ nhàng hơn sau những trận cãi vã mệt mỏi rồi.
Violet's sharing a sacred space with Riley. She really wants him to learn about the Buddhist teachings about love and respect. The pair pray. They feel closer to one another, and they even donate money to the temple. In return, they get their names hung up on the temple donation wall. But there's an important issue that Violet reveals she's been putting off from mentioning.
Thực sự là trong lòng tôi rất là băn khoăn. Suy nghĩ rất là hỗn độn. Ra là cái vấn đề này tôi cũng muốn nói rất là lâu rồi.
With only 3 days left of his trip, Riley's time in Vietnam is coming to an end. If they want their long-distance relationship to last, they need to be completely honest with one another. So, naturally, Violet takes Riley kite flying.
Oh my God. I never flew a kite before in my life. I can't believe we did this. This is amazing. We work together and look what happens.
Okay, fine. That's actually a great plan. Violet puts Riley in a good mood, and he can see how great their relationship can be when both of them are positive. So Violet takes this opportunity to ask Riley something she's been dreading to ask him. And it relates to what happens if she moves from Vietnam to the US to be with him.
I just want to know how much you have in your account bank.
How much I have in my account?
Yeah, how you sponsor me and with my daughter.
Now, in the past, Riley's told Violet that if she moves to the States, he'd be happy to support her and her daughters. So Violet's just making sure that Riley can back his promises. But part of me definitely wonders whether Violet deliberately chose to ask this question whilst being recorded to try and put Riley on the spot, to try and make him squirm, to make things as awkward as possible, in the same way that he and his friend Tiffany did to her. But to his credit, Riley handles it well, and it seems like he understands why she needs to ask.
If she want to ask questions, I'm willing to tell her. I want to be an open book. I hope that she will be the same and start being open and honest with me. In savings and in investments, I will have close to $100,000 in my bank account.
Not everyone would be happy to disclose their bank balance like that, especially not on TV. So Riley deserves credit for trying to navigate that awkward question in what seems to be an honest way. Now, we don't know whether or not it's accurate, of course, but the fact that he even answered it seems to be real progress for Riley. The old Riley would have probably got really defensive. He would have automatically jumped to a place of distrust. But the new and improved Riley seems to be in a better place. And he asks Violet if that sum, $100,000, is a large enough amount to give her security in leaving her career and her country. But she's unsure. She doesn't quite know whether it is. She doesn't know the cost of living in America. So Riley then attempts to pacify her. He tries to reassure her that he will be able to look after her and her kids. But he wants to set expectations. Don't expect fine dining and luxury living. I live a humble life, he tells her.
$100,000 is not really a lot of money, but I make broke look really good. That makes you feel comfortable?
So with Riley opening up and answering Violet's questions, now it's time for Violet to return the favour. Let's see if she practices what she preaches, because Riley takes this opportunity to bring up an issue that's been bugging him. When we fought in the past, why did you barrage my dad with a string of text messages abusing me? He asks.
You text my father a lot of bad things about me, knowing that I did not do that to
I
you.
say you don't tell the boss.
Listen.
Violet immediately goes on the defensive. She falls back on her tried and tested excuse of telling Riley to stop bringing up the past. The thing is, Riley, having heard her say this 1,000 times before, was definitely expecting that response. So rather than be deterred, this time he's ready with a follow-up question.
Do you regret doing something like that? Is it a regret in saying that maybe we should have just tried to work it out together?
I don't see it's my fault.
Riley wants to know whether or not Violet regrets her actions. He wants to know if she'd do the same thing again. But Violet now goes from trying to deter this conversation to playing the blame game. She tries to tell Riley that it's not her fault, but Riley's ready for that excuse too. He just wants to get an answer from her, good or bad. He wants to try and break this habit of her avoiding the conversation.
I didn't ask you if it was your fault. I didn't ask you. It wasn't. No. I'm just asking.
I just say you know.
You said no. You don't regret it. Okay. All right. That's all.
Violet has no regrets. She claims she only told Riley's dad the truth about Riley, which, considering the things she was texting him, is quite brutal.
He never knows how is true love, so he ever will be alone. Really, this is what she says to you?
Yes, and I did not comment on it because I don't want to get in the middle of anything.
And with no regrets, and once again feeling like she's being unfairly questioned and attacked by Riley, things start to turn sour. Violet gives Riley a new nickname, and this is her way of taking a jab at him.
You are the king, kill feeling.
Okay.
You always kill my feeling.
I kill your feelings.
Look, this felt like one of those important conversations that Riley could have maybe whipped out the translator app for. But hey, if the man doesn't want to learn from his mistakes, then so be it. The truth is, Violet is equally as bad as Riley. She's gone from preaching about love and respect in the Buddhist temple to refusing to give Riley the space to express his feelings, and then insulting him. This has left Riley feeling very frustrated.
She still can't have a decent conversation with me? Why are you bringing up the past? Mother, because we need to work it out.
It's all classic Riley and Violet, isn't it? 1 step forward, 10 steps back. Whether it's down to the culture or down to them as individuals, their communication style, the fact that Riley wants answers but Violet has an aversion to talking about the past, she doesn't want to take any accountability, means these two are just so different, so incompatible, and a translator app isn't going to fix that.